Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me down there in Decatur, Georgia, my good friend, fellow University of North Georgia alumni, Matt Green, is here. Matt, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Doing well, man. It is good to be back here with you. I'm digging this new frame you got here. A little red and black action. I was tired of all that orange that I had to join back in the day.
No orange as of right now, because we are no longer a daily Tennessee program, although we're still very pro Tennessee. This is a pod divided for Vols versus Dogs. That is still what we're doing. We're also still University of North Georgia Nighthawks, proud alumni as well. As folks who are watching on YouTube can see, some changes to both of our hair. Mine's gone since y'all last saw me in December. All the hair just disappeared.
Changed my hair?
Well, Matt, there's
a fresh cut.
It's a fresh cut, but the sides they're graying.
Oh, you're talking about salt and pepper. Oh,
you've gotten a lot. Like, the salt and pepper's coming. Like, it's kind of, you know what it is. You're kind of going through what Kirby's going through at Georgia football. It's just you're not getting the 5 stars anymore. Recruiting, you're kind of getting a little more stressed. Not getting a title over the last couple of years, and not getting the respect of winning the SEC the last 2 years. And here we go with Texas. Before the season, they're getting all the preseason buzz in the conference, and I think it's just wearing on you, Matt Green. I think that's what we're seeing here is the gradual decline of Georgia football is a result of what's happening to the salt and pepper look that we see here today.
Yeah, 3 out of the last 4 SEC championships. It is a very gradual decline. I do like to think there's a lot of similarities between me and Kirby, though, so I appreciate you noticing that. But yeah, I don't know if you remember those Just for Men Touch of Gray commercials back in the day, but they were just, me and my friends just always laugh about it. It's like one of those lucky dogs with just a touch of gray. That's what they always said in the commercial. So I was like, I don't know. It's like, we need his experience, but we need his energy. And it was like Just for Men Touch of Gray. Like, it was like a combination. But yeah, shameless plug for Just for Men. I don't know if they're still around. But yeah, it's that's what I'm going for.
It's a good question.
It's all natural, though.
I look, man, embrace it. You're going to be like, in a couple of years, it's just going to be like John Slattery is on the other end of this podcast. Like, you're just going full Roger Sterling here, and it's going to be fine.
I don't know either of those names, so I'll take your word.
We talked about Mad Men before we even jumped on here, Roger.
Oh, I watched like a season or two of Mad Men, to be honest. Honestly, just all of the affairs. I feel like I was like, just everyone is cheating on their wives. What is happening in this show? It was entertaining, but I think I only made it like 2 seasons. Well, that show probably lasted 7, 8 seasons or something.
7, if I'm not mistaken. My wife and I are actually rewatching it right now for the first time since we watched it, or I watched it years and years ago. But yeah, I think it's 7. And we're on 5 right now.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of infidelity in the advertising space in New York City in the 1960s on this show.
I can't get down with that, you know?
It's not a good look. I guess
if that's your thing, you know, I don't want to yuck your yum, but you know.
Yuck your yum? Is that an expression?
Yeah, I didn't make that up.
Yuck your yum. I've never heard that
like
before.
you get it out of context. You know, you don't want to rain on someone's parade. It's something that they enjoy. Like, yeah, that's your thing that you enjoy.
That's true. I just had I assume that's what it meant, but I have never actually heard that expression. Is that a Southern expression?
I've literally had this moment a couple times in the last few months of saying that expression, and so no one ever hearing about it. I swear I didn't make it up. I've heard other people say it.
Well, the fact that multiple people in the last few months have called you out on it and said, I've never heard that before. Maybe you did make it up, and you maybe I
just need to take it out of my repertoire.
I think it's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with creating new phrases like that. I think that's cool. But in all seriousness, miss doing these. We miss doing our pod divided here. College football season, 4 Saturdays away. We're almost there. Week 0 will be here before you know it. Here at the end of the month, NFL preseason here. We've got some of the ugliest uniforms known to man unveiled this week in Highland Park, Buffalo. The new Bills alternates. Have you seen those?
I was
those
thinking
gray
Highland
and blue.
Park High School, Matthew Stafford.
Oh yeah,
but no, yeah, those Buffalo Bills, those are terrible.
They're so bad.
Highland Park or is it Orchard Park?
Is it Orchard? Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Is it Orchard Park?
It's like Highland Park is that's Matthew Stafford, Clayton Kershaw stomping grounds right there.
I thought the Bills' new stadium was Highland something. Am I crazy?
I don't know. I know I'm not sure about the new stadium, so you could be right.
Highmark Stadium.
Okay.
Highmark Stadium. I was like, I thought it was High.
Did I make up Orchard Park? That's a thing, right?
Orchard sounds right too. Was that maybe what it used to be?
Maybe it's like
yeah.
not in
Orchard
Buffalo,
Park was what it used to be, and now it's Highmark. So we're both right.
Okay.
A lot of parks.
So the stadium is in Orchard Park, New York. This new stadium too. So I guess it's just not in Buffalo. It's just in like near Buffalo, I guess. That's what my quick Google search said. It's not important. This isn't a Buffalo Bills podcast.
I'm gonna level with you. Not really familiar with upstate New York and the geography of that region.
No, same.
But Matt Green, a region that you and I are very familiar with, that will be playing football here sooner rather than later. They haven't won a national title going on 4 seasons now that we'll talk about here in a bit, but this is a pod divided, so we have to kick things off with our Tennessee and Georgia thoughts. I haven't had a Tennessee thought on this podcast in 9 months. I have not said anything about Tennessee football in 9 months. So this is, oh yeah, go ahead.
Can I say one thing? Can we just give an RIP to Georgia, Tennessee? Like, it's an absolute shame Georgia and Tennessee will not be playing in 2026. And that just grinds my gears, sir. Like,
after last year,
maybe Tennessee fans are okay with with not playing that game every year. Is it like 10 in a row? Whatever, since the Hail Mary 2016. Mm-hmm. So 9 in a row, I think. So they'll meet again in 2027, but I don't know. I just hate Georgia, Tennessee not being played every year.
I think Tennessee, Florida not being played this year is going to be stranger to me. I think Georgia, Tennessee, obviously some rivalry, but like Tennessee, Florida in early September is just that's just, I don't know. I think it's going to be really bizarre not having Florida on the schedule. I think Tennessee, Florida has become way more of a rivalry that it's always a disaster. I mean, I'm not going to miss going to the Swamp every other year with the House of Horrors. That has been outside of last year where Tennessee ended on a good note, going into the Swamp and blowing out the Gators, playing them late in the season, which really benefited Tennessee, not getting them in the early part of the year. But yeah, it's going to be weird, man. No Florida, no Georgia. I mean, y'all have a cakewalk of a schedule. I know Pick Six previews. I was listening to them talk about Georgia's schedule on that SEC podcast. I think in his projections, Georgia only plays 3 of the top 8 teams in the SEC in the regular season, based on his projections.
Maybe it's weaker by other SEC standards going into 2026, but I mean, it's got 3 teams that made the college football playoff last year, and only 4 SEC teams made it. So Georgia being the 4th one, right? Or A&M made it. So 5 made it a year ago. So they got at Alabama, at Ole Miss, and Oklahoma at home. It doesn't seem very easy to me.
It's, I mean, 4 true road games, I think, right? That's another thing that's going to help Georgia in this regard.
Yeah, Arkansas and South Carolina, the other 2.
Yeah. Florida at home on Halloween. That one's going to annoy me both years. I'm sure it's going to annoy you too. Not taking advantage of a home and home for this gap with the Jaguar Stadium getting renovated. I get everybody's chasing money all the time in this sport, but man, I just don't think it would have been this huge monetary issue to do a home and home for 2 years and just see how it goes. I think it's more of like fans would really hate going away from the home and home, because if you open that door, people are going to be like, why are we not doing a home and home every year? This is so much better, even than doing the Jacksonville game every year, which I think is a great event. You've been multiple times. You've spoken to the environment. It's a great 50-50 type deal. It's intense. Fans get into it. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel as stuffy as all the other neutral site games, right? Like, I think that's one
Yeah.
of the rare ones that it's okay that that's on a neutral site. I think Oklahoma, Texas being the other major one off the top of my head, that where it's like
Yeah,
it does.
because the issue, not to cut you off, but the issue is, I think with the neutral sites is the tradition, and it's like,
Right.
since there is the tradition of going to Jacksonville, it's amazing. And yeah, Oklahoma, Texas as well. Yeah, that last year's definitely by far the best Georgia Florida game I've been to in terms of an actual game. Chauncey Bowens with that touchdown run in the final minutes, but
Mhm.
yeah, it was a good one. I think I'm 2-2 now in my history in the cocktail party. Won the last two. I went to 2023 and 2025. So
Okay.
and need to get back to Jacksonville to get a winning record in that one. But yeah, the other two I saw Georgia's backup quarterback. I went to the Joe Tereshinski game back in 05 and the famous Faton Bauta game in 2015, which was essentially the Mark Richt is officially fired game back in 2015. That was Mark
Falcon
Richt
Bauta.
going, I don't know what to do. Throw this guy in. Maybe something will happen. I don't know. I have no answers.
That was a Brian Schottenheimer year, right?
2015, yeah, that was definitely shot. I think just 1 year. I think that was the only. It
Mhm.
was because Bobo was up until 2014. So yeah, I think it was just Schottenheimer that last year of Richt.
Falcon Bauta, man. There was a lot of Georgia fans back in the day that were like, "It's our Tebow. That's our
Yeah, he
Tim
didn't. He
Tebow."
practiced without the non-contact jersey and stuff. It's like cool.
Didn't
Think he
work.
played linebacker and quarterback in high school or something. Yeah. That was a dark period, or not dark period. It was 1 week. It was like Fedon Bouts, I don't think took another snap the entire season, but like played every snap of that Florida game.
Well, speaking of the
It
dogs,
helped Grayson Lambert's career record. I think Grayson Lambert was like 10-2 as a starter or something at Georgia, or maybe even better. It may have been like 10-1 or something.
Beck beat his completions in a row record, right? Wasn't that Carson who did it, or is it Stetson?
I think that's still standing.
Is it still standing? I thought
I think it
Carson
was like
did it.
25 of 26 or something. I think Lambert still got that.
Okay. Good for him.
Yeah, he's got that.
Good for him. Well, speaking of the dogs here, Matt Green, I think because you and I have not talked about our teams here on this very program all off season, I thought it'd be cool to kick things off before we dive into half of our SEC big thoughts in just terms of buy or sell. I thought it'd be fun to do with our different teams, and we'll talk about like what that means, because buy or sell for different teams, they're on different tiers, so buying one program can mean something different than buying another program, selling another program, this, that, and the other, that we'll dive into here momentarily. But
Just like stocks,
yeah,
depends on where you're buying it.
yes, 100%. Like, is it a short term? You could buy in the short term, or are you buying long term where you're like, I don't think it's coming in this. I don't think I would not panic. I don't think it's gonna be great this year, but I would still buy long term based on what I'm already seeing and what I think about this guy, or this program, this, that, and the other. So we'll dive into that with the first 8. But before we do that, Georgia, your biggest August 9th thought on the dogs in 2026. Could be the biggest question you have right now. What have you thought about the most with Georgia going into next season?
What I've thought about the most is, I think this might be a homer take, but I truly think 2025 was like a rebuilding year for Georgia. Like, I can't remember a year with more uncertainty entering the season. Just from like every year, Georgia, where it's like Michael Williams and Malachi Starks. Like every year, there's like 3 or 4 almost guaranteed first rounders on Georgia's roster coming into the year. Last year was the first year under Kirby Smart where it's like, I don't know if this team has a first round pick. Like, they didn't really have any guys who were clear All-Americans, things like that. Like, obviously Monroe Freeling ended up being the one first rounder they had last year, but there was just so much uncertainty. I mean, we didn't know what Gunnar Stockton was going to be. And I feel like there's still a lot of uncertainty around Gunnar Stockton, like from a national perspective, but it's like, this guy was a legit question mark. Like, we saw him for a second half against Texas, and then, one of the worst performances of the season against Notre Dame last year. Not that it's all on Gunnar Stockton, but what did they score, like 10 points in that game or something? It was one of the more lackluster performances of 2024. And that's all we had known about Gunnar Stockton. So this year, Georgia just feels way more proven. And I think they're back to, Ellis Robinson, I think, is a first-round pick. KJ Bolden, I think, is a first-round pick. Ernest Green might be a guy who could get into the first round at offensive tackle. It just, this team feels loaded defensively. And you saw, -3 rushing yards against Alabama in the SEC championship. Like, granted, Alabama wasn't running the ball well against many teams. I think they were in the hundreds or something running the ball last year. But this defense was really good last year, despite not being able to get after the passer. And now there's just so much more continuity on the defensive side of the ball. It feels like this team is much more loaded. Gunnar Stockton, I mean, has there ever been less talk about a quarterback coming back from finishing top 10 in the Heisman voting? Like, you almost don't even know that this guy exists. It's with all the quarterback talk. If it's Dante Moore, Julian Sayin, Trinidad Chambliss, Arch Manning, not saying all of those guys aren't studs, but I think there was like 5 quarterbacks that finished top 10 in the Heisman voting. And Gunnar Stockton is one of the 3 that's actually returning this year. So, without Zachariah Branch, so that's all the good things I think about Georgia this year. I don't think Gunnar Stockton has to make a Joe Burrow year 1 to year 2 type of jump. If he just has a natural progression of a guy that's going to be a second-year starter, and even if he plays as well as he did a year ago, this is where I disagree with people like, I think David Pollack was one that said if Gunnar Stockton is exactly as good as he was a year ago, Georgia has no chance to win the national championship. That's where I disagree, because I think Georgia is going to be more loaded around him, at least on the roster. They have more talent on this year's roster. The biggest question mark is that wide receiver position. I think almost the only question mark on Georgia's team is that wide receiver position, because we know about all the screen passes, and people love to hate on Mike Bobo about the screen passes, even though they're like the best screen team in the country. Zachariah Branch, if you're not throwing him a bunch of screens, you're not utilizing his skill set. Like, Zachariah Branch was the most dangerous wide receiver screen player I've seen in a long time, to be honest. So that's going to be what he had 85 catches or something a year ago. Was Georgia throwing a lot of screens because they didn't trust Gunnar Stockton to throw downfield, or are they throwing a lot of screens because this was the most effective way to use their weapons? That's what remains to be seen. We want to see Gunnar Stockton, take that next step and be better throwing downfield and everything. But I think the receivers are really the number one question when it comes to Georgia this year. And you got Isaiah Canyon out of Georgia Tech, the transfer. But other than that, I think Canyon had like 30-something catches a year ago. London Humphreys is the leading receiver coming back from Georgia with I think he had like 15, 20 catches. So that's probably what worries me the most when it comes to this Georgia team, because we've seen, Jake Fromm coming from his second to third year as a starter, lost like 5 of the top 6 wide receivers. And Jake Fromm from his sophomore to junior year, that offense basically fell off a cliff. So you need that wide receiver production, and it's going to have to be guys that are already on the roster. Me personally, reading between the lines, because we are in the transfer portal era. Like, obviously Georgia went out and got one guy, and I'm sure they had other offers to other guys, but that's the only one that they signed was Isaiah Canyon. But reading between the lines, I think it was more Georgia feels more confident about the guys that are already there. Some of the freshmen, highly touted freshmen and sophomores, are going to be back. Talon Taylor being the most notable one, the 5-star in his second year on campus. So they're going to need to get some impact players out wide that we just haven't seen do it at the college level to this point.
I think all that's fair. I think we're on the same page that wide receiver is the biggest unknown for me at Georgia. I don't think it's Gunnar Stockton. I think particularly Gunnar in the clutch. Obviously his most clutch moment in the regular season last year in Neyland Stadium with that dime he threw to London Humphreys, the corner of the end zone on 4th down. It's an all-time throw. Like, it's a great throw and catch. It's a iconic moment. It was a crazy catch that I don't know how many times out of 100 they connect on that, but they do. And I think
I tried to make the hump nail boot a thing. It didn't. I don't think it really caught on like the other ones did.
Well, the thing about it, though, is Isaiah Canyon, I think he'll be solid, but I don't think he has the upside that Noah Thomas had as a transfer, that Colby Young had as a transfer, that Zachariah
I hope he's a lot
Branch.
better than Noah Thomas.
I think Noah Thomas was more injury. I think Noah Thomas, it's hard to say. Like Noah Thomas had the upside, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I think Isaiah Canyon might have a safer floor than what Noah Thomas had, but I think Noah Thomas would have been, if he was healthy. I understood that it's easy to do some revisionist history there with him, but that was a big get for Georgia at the time. Like pulling in Noah Thomas, I think he had some real upside. My concern there though is like Jacoby White-Helton, you have no proven production there at the slot, and you targeted Zachariah so much, and he was a real value. Like Jacoby has potential, but there's no production there. Like you talked about Isaiah and London, none of these guys are highly targeted guys. They both had under 20 catches last year apiece. On the flip side, though, you have so many tight ends who are going to get the rock so much. Like you just have a plethora of guys. I mean, you have so many that you're moving Caden Prothero to the slot, right? Like you have so many just to get him on the field because you're just so backed up with Jaden Riddell, Lawson Lucky, Ethan Barber, Elias Williams. Like you have so many dudes there that I think tight ends are going to feast the most in 2026 and be a great safety valve for Gunner. But I would sell this receiver room. I don't think you're going to have all these guys hit and become big time players at this point, especially Isaiah and London. I mean, these are upperclassmen. Like they are what they are at this point. I think they're role players, but Zachariah Branch was like a first round borderline talent. Like if it all worked out, I think Noah Thomas, if it did work out, had that. The one I wonder if Georgia's going to end up regretting. And it's so hard in today's climate to like, how much money do they have to play with? How much we just don't know what everybody's getting. But like Cam Coleman would have been my biggest priority if I was Georgia, because Texas did not need Cam Coleman as much as Georgia could have really used Cam Coleman. I think if Georgia had landed Cam, that's a raw. I think everyone's talking about Georgia as the top tier, where it's like our biggest question, because you and I don't think are alone. And like receivers, the biggest one where I'm like, I don't know how much they're really going to be able to rely on these guys, because it's one thing to be excited about Taylor and a lot of those guys who are coming up, CJ Wiley, those young 4 and 5 star guys, versus that 1 year stopgap, because Georgia has the top end talent this year to win a national title. They just don't have any NFL guys at receiver who are going to get a bunch of snaps for the 2027 draft. Like it's just none of those guys are NFL guys. So I don't know. I kind of wonder if that's the one where if Kirby or the staff is going to look back later and we're like, man, we should have just pushed. We should have pushed whoever we needed to push to be like, we got to get Cam Coleman. Like I understand it's going to be a high price deal. I understand we're going to be going outside of our budget potentially here for this one guy. We don't usually do it, but we think we can win a national title. It's the last year of Gunner, last year of a lot of these defenders, especially. Like you're going to get a lot younger on defense next year. Like Georgia has a lot of guys who are going to go in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball this year. I don't know. I kind of wonder about that one, because I do feel like that could be the thing week over week, is just Georgia could have really used a go-to guy to help balance out this receiver room a little bit.
Yeah, and I agree with that for sure. And I think if Isaiah Canyon is as good as Colby Young, then that's massive. Because I think Colby Young it's like certain guys have frustrating careers. Colby Young might go down as one of the more frustrating careers of all time from a Georgia fan perspective, because you saw the talent. Like he was that big body receiver, deep threat, can make contested catches. It was the suspension in 2024. It was the injury in 2025. He just wasn't on the field enough. Noah Thomas, it just like the guys on Georgia's roster just appeared to be better. Like he just didn't even play that much. London Humphrey is a great 4th or 5th wide receiver on your team. Like he's just so solid, make clutch catches. It seemed like every catch he had was a third down, like a 3rd and 8. And you hit on London Humphreys for 10 yards. Like he's just a very solid possession type of receiver. I mean, I still don't understand his transfer portal ranking a year ago. Like he was like a top 10 overall player. Like, and they talk about how athletic he is. And, we saw some of the big playability at Vanderbilt, and especially against Georgia, that long touchdown run, catch in 2024. 2023, whatever year it was. But yeah, I think, like you said, like people talk about how young this Georgia team is, because I think it's like the youngest or second youngest team in college football this year. But I think a lot of it is Georgia just prioritizes high school recruiting more than some other big time programs. So they signed a couple of big classes that are currently freshmen and sophomores. This team is super experienced. Like if they don't win a national championship this year, they're going to lose a lot from this team. There's going to be 12, 14 guys drafted or so from this team this year. I personally think so. It feels like a team that's got a lot of returning experience, and I more than anybody wish Georgia had Cam Coleman right now, especially that catch of his going viral in practice and everything. Kirby Smart is almost getting his Alex Anthopoulos on when it comes to the Braves fans know. It's like money is not an issue. I've never been told no when I've wanted to go get some guy, or money has never been the reason why. And it's like, you say that, Kirby, but I don't know. It seems like guys are going to a higher bidder. So obviously Kirby has his philosophy when it comes to, he's just not going to pay high schoolers more than the proven starters on his team. You know, we're 3 years without a national championship. We'll see how long that lasts. If we go 3 more years without a national championship or so, maybe Kirby changes philosophy there. Obviously, Zachariah Branch was one of the more big time players in the portal a year ago that Georgia went out and got. So maybe Cam Coleman just wasn't feeling Georgia, wanted to go. Arch Manning's a potential number 1 pick. Maybe he was making a money decision. Maybe he was making a football decision that Georgia hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiver in however long, wherever that stat is, since like Terrence Edwards, I think. So maybe it was from that perspective. He liked how he'd be used in Texas offense better, and Georgia threw the same amount of money at him. Who knows? But yeah, that is really the only place that I'm legitimately concerned when it comes to Georgia is that wide receiver position, because you have to have difference makers. I think you said Sokovie White-Helton, like he might not be Zachariah Branch, but dude's got some wiggle, and I feel like he could at least be a diet Branch, and you know how Georgia wants to use that screen game and everything. But yeah, Talon Taylor, I think, is the number 1 guy that he's going to have to become an impact player for Georgia fans to feel better about this passing game.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. I think you just need one of those guys to break out, whether that's Taylor, whether it's Wiley, maybe it's Caden Prothro, who just is like an absolute monster. Like they're able to just utilize him in the slot. Like he's just such a Swiss Army knife where you're like, oh, this is like a Brock Bowers, but like in the slot in a completely different way. Like kind of like Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I don't want to put the Bowers label on anybody. It's almost like every good running back Georgia gets starts to get Herschel Walker comparisons at some point. Jaden Riddell is the one in the spring game. They actually ran like a reverse to him, like Bowers-esque, you know?
Yeah.
So Jaden Riddell is the athlete, is one of the better athletes in this room. But I think Elias Williams has the potential to be kind of what people thought Darnell Washington was going to be. Like Darnell Washington was a hybrid, but he wasn't a wide receiver tight end hybrid. He was a offensive tackle tight end hybrid. So I think Elias Williams, that 6'7", like 250 frame, like I think he's going to be a guy who's going to be a really dangerous red zone threat. Lawson Lucky is the most proven guy in that room, and he's proven to be a really good athlete. But yeah, Caden Prothro, that's a guy I think he could end up being one of Georgia's leading receivers this year. Another 6'7" body. I think Georgia high school's all-time touchdown receptions record holders. So they do have a bunch of options. This isn't everything, but I do like to read between the lines here and there, and I'm a big numbers guy. Thomas Blackshear changed to number 2 this offseason at the wide receiver position. I don't know if you get an elite number like that if you're not a potential impact player, but he's another guy. I think he's in his 2nd or 3rd year on campus, just former 4-star recruit, but we'll see. Another one, Landon Roldan, who I guess maybe is trying to separate himself from the Ladd McConkey comparisons, because he was number 84, skinny little white receiver a year ago. I think he was a true freshman last year, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a guy that's gotten a little bit of hype as well. I can't remember what number. He's either number 8 or maybe 15 or something. I can't remember. He upgraded his number, so he doesn't look exactly like Ladd McConkey like he did a year ago, where number 84. But yeah, there's just so much uncertainty. For good reason, I tend to just trust Kirby Smart that if you're playing wide receiver at Georgia, you're probably pretty good, but you got to have some difference makers in that room. And even with Zachariah Branch a year ago, I think people were still saying that Georgia needed more difference makers in that passing game. So it's definitely an area of concern, but with what they have returning on the O-line, on the defense, I still think I think the floor for this team is, 9 or 10 wins in the regular season. and probably a playoff berth.
I love it. On the Tennessee side of things here, Matt Green, there's a couple different ways you can go with Tennessee. Big questions for them. The biggest one, I think, for a lot of people is the quarterback battle between Faison Brandon, 5-star true freshman, number 1 overall player this past class, versus George McIntyre, borderline 4 and 5-star guy. He was a 5-star early on a couple years ago, and he was a 4-star late in the process. But 2 talented guys duking it out here in fall camp. First, as we're taping this, the first preseason scrimmage is Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, and I think there will be 2, and then we'll see where Heupel goes on the quarterback battle front. But the intel coming out of Saturday will be really interesting when it comes to the Vols and where things stand at quarterback. But for me, it's not quarterback. The biggest thing I've been thinking about with Tennessee, it's not running back. I think Deshaun Bishop has a great chance to be Tennessee's first back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher in a really long time here. They are a little bit thin, bringing in Javon Gordon, who got a lot of snaps for Tulane last year, Dwan Morris in year 2. That'll be interesting. I think, to me, it's the defensive line and the offensive line. Like, I think Tennessee is loaded at linebacker. They have so many guys that I'm not really sure how they're going to be able to get all of them on the field and keep them happy, to be completely honest. I think they're going to be solid at corner. In the secondary, I think this is the best safeties they've had in the Heupel area, with TJ Metcalf, Aegis Farouk, and Quay Moss at the nickel spot. I think they're really set in a lot of different ways on the defensive side and on the back end under new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. But where I have concerns is actually in the trenches on both sides. And then maybe not even concern is the right word, because Tennessee is bringing back a lot of starters, but they really kind of sneaky need Sam Pendleton to have a much better year 2 in the system as the center. I mean, Cooper Mays was really good for Tennessee for many years. He was just solid. And you saw how different Tennessee looked when he was banged up. Like the Florida game in 23, he was not able to go, and they had to slide somebody over to fill in, and it just did not go well. You saw at Georgia when Drew Bobo was not able to play. Georgia was a completely different team. People don't think about center all that much. It's not really a sexy position to think about, but it matters. And I think Tennessee really needs Sam Pendleton to become a much better overall center. Like they have so much on their plate with protections and everything else. Like center is a sneaky, just really important position for them. David Sanders is going to be awesome at left tackle. He's on track to be a first-round guy, not this upcoming year, but next year. He's going to be great flipping over. But I just kind of wonder, right tackle, you bring in Ori Williams. You don't pay Lance Hurd. He's now starting left tackle at Kentucky. How is that going to work? Who's your best 5 there? Is it Jesse Perry at right guard? Is it Ori Williams at right tackle? Or flipping those 2 and putting Williams as the swing guy behind them, and you start Donovan Haslam, the transfer from West Virginia, at right guard, or does Sham Umarov fit in? I don't know. I hope they're not mixing and matching, because that was something they did a lot last year too, is like you want to have your 5 and then just go for it. Like I don't want to be figuring out who Tennessee's best 5 offensive linemen are going into Atlanta for Georgia Tech on the road. Like I hope they have a much better picture for a young quarterback too, because that matters. Like you're going to have a young quarterback. I want the offensive line to have a lot more answers and questions earlier than later. But missing on Chaz Coleman, like he's your big Leo ad out of Penn State, and he's not even playing football anymore. So you're not able to replace him late in the process. So that was a big swing, because you lost Jordan Ross and Caleb Herring in the portal. And you're relying a lot on Jordan Norman, the Tulane transfer, to be your kind of go-to guy. Christian Gass behind him. Maybe you have a freshman like Kedrick Golston or Hezekiah Harris. We'll see. Tyree Weathersby and Marion Dye just might be your 2 ends, and you don't have a traditional stand-up Leo on one side. That would be interesting. You're kind of thin on the interior. You have talent, but just not a lot of proven production there. You need David Hobbs to stay healthy for the first time in his career. He's super talented, could be an all SEC kind of player. Xavier Gilliam, a lot on his plate. I don't know. I think there's talent there, but I have questions about the trenches on both sides, and I think Tennessee's pass rush is not going to be good this year. So what does that mean if their pass rush is not good? What can the defense ultimately be if the pass rush is not great? So I don't know. I think that's my biggest one is I'm selling Tennessee's pass rush. I'm selling some of their issues when it comes to the defensive line, and I think Tennessee has a good problem of having 7 or 8 guys that they could put in on the offensive line to put together their best 5. But I am kind of worried that it's kind of shaky and they might have to mix and match early on this year with potentially a true freshman quarterback under center. That's always a little unnerving.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the defense would be my biggest concern from what they were a year ago. Like that 2024 defense was legit. I mean, the 2023 defense was pretty damn good if I remember correctly, as well. 2023 they had a bunch of sacks, right?
That was the James Pierce breakout year. James Pierce and Tyler Barron on the other side. They were just unblockable.
Yeah, so I tend to just at this point just trust Josh Heupel to like just manufacture offense. Like for what that team went through a year ago, and I know people love to, hate on, like dig into Tennessee's schedule and hate on what they didn't beat a team with a winning record, right, a year ago. Ended up 8-5. But man, the off season that team went through a year ago with the post spring transfer of Nico and just bringing in Aguilar, like obviously Aguilar was a guy at least had starting experience at the D1 level, and he was a pretty good player. Like for that offense to be as good as it was a year ago with all that offseason turmoil, I tend to just think Josh Heupel is going to figure out a way for this team to score points. I expect the running game, like you said, to be good again this year. But yeah, it's obviously much more uncertainty at the quarterback position than it was last year. But I don't know, the schedule kind of shakes out fairly well. I mean, there's not many tough road games. So, I mean, what are the most I was looking at their schedule earlier, like at Arkansas, at South Carolina, at A&M, at Vanderbilt. Like, I think there's
at Georgia Tech early.
I don't expect Georgia Tech to be that good this year, though, right?
I think they're a step back, but I mean, week 2 with a true freshman quarterback potentially, Tech was still good. I mean, they're well coached. It'll be in Bobby Dodd, not a neutral site.
Shoot, there are probably more Tennessee fans in Bobby Dodd than
I don't know. I think there would be more Tennessee fans if they played it in the Benz. I don't think there are going to be more Tennessee fans in Bobby Dodd.
That could be, but losing Haynes King, who was just like the heart and soul of that team, and then losing Buster Faulkner and Aaron Philo to Florida. Like, I think Aaron Philo, there was an argument of like he could come in and the offense for Tech be better, like because maybe he's more just dynamic in the pass game, even though Haynes King was just kind of, I don't know, Tebow-esque, if you want to call it that, Riley Leonard-esque, if you don't want to compare him to Tebow. Like, just like the heart and soul, just the toughness and everything. I think
the game winner in the Hall of Fame game last week.
I did, dude. Haynes King is just a player. It's like he's like America's quarterback. Like everyone just loved Haynes King, just the toughness and everything. I just don't really know what Tech is going to be this year, and especially getting them the second game of the season. Obviously, they've improved the last couple years, but I tend to think I think Tennessee kind of can sleepwalk to 3-0, and then Texas comes into Neyland Stadium. Like any game at Neyland Stadium is just kind of, I don't know. I can't count out Tennessee in any game in Neyland. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they got really tough home games. I mean, LSU at home.
They do play some good teams.
Texas at home early. That'll be, I mean, I think Arkansas and South Carolina, I think they're going to be in the bottom end of the SEC, but those are two places Tennessee has not had a lot of success recently on the road. Like Tennessee under Heupel has lost both trips to Fayetteville. You have South Carolina, which ended Tennessee's national title run and Hendon's Heisman candidacy in 2022. Like they're like South Carolina, I guess part of it will be the kickoff times. Like those need to be during the day. Like neither of those need to be at night. No Arkansas, South Carolina road games for Tennessee under the lights. That would be ideal.
If FB schedules is correct, because I think a lot of these they have like they know the potential time slot.
There are options for a couple of them.
It says South Carolina is either 3:30 or 4:30, and then Arkansas is either 3:30 or 8. So
That's a big one.
Yeah, but I expect Arkansas to be probably the worst team in the SEC. Like they were like the best 3-9 team of all time, or whatever they ended up last year. That's because Taylon Green was so dangerous. Like I don't really expect Arkansas to. I think their over under right now is like 3.5 on their win.
They're going to be the
total
worst team in the SEC, I think.
Yeah, so I think Arkansas is a win, but yeah, I mean maybe Auburn has improved this year. That's another home game, but South Carolina, I always say, and I know you're the number one Shane Beamer hater out there, but South Carolina in general, it's like when they're not expected to be good, that's when they're dangerous. Like you can't give South Carolina expectations. That's when they lay an egg. But it feels like a lot of people are sleeping on South Carolina, myself included. Lenora Sellers is back, and he is still dangerous, even though he had a pretty bad year a year ago. But yeah, you can never really count South Carolina out. Like, or I should say, when you are counting South Carolina out, that's when they're bound to get somebody. So maybe it's Tennessee, but that is also what 8-9 games in. So maybe Tennessee has a better idea of the quarterback situation and everything by the time they go to Williams-Brice.
That's fair.
Is Faison Brandon the guy? Is that who Tennessee fans want?
Yeah, I would say that's who Tennessee fans want, but I don't think that's going to be official until we see how him and George perform in these 2 fall scrimmages. Like, we'll see what happens in the scrimmages. Like, if George outduels if George outduels Faison in these scrimmages, then it'll be George. Like, I think it's still open. Like, George can still win this job, but it's the one thing that's interesting too is like if it's Faison, then you get 3 years potentially with Faison. You have a 3-year answer. If it's George, you get 2. That's also something to consider there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's decided yet.
Is there a conclusion that can be drawn by who wins that job? Like, because sometimes it's like there's a guy who just has so much more experience, and they go with the experienced guy that it's like, I don't know, did he win the job or did he just not lose the job? Is if Faison Brandon wins the jobs, it's like, okay, he had to come in and actually win the job. He's the one that's got less experience. Or is it just like, well, we paid all this money for him. Does college go the NFL route? It's like, we're paying him this much money. You better put him in and see what he can do. Like, I don't know. Is there a common
Well, it's not like
rule of thought from a Tennessee fan base?
If you're bringing in a 4 or 5-star quarterback, like they're well compensated. So like, and again, we don't know the numbers for Faison and George and what the difference is and all that kind of stuff. But I do think if it's close, if it is a 50-50 coin flip, you're going Faison, I think, because like I said, it's 3 years, the ceiling's higher. You go through your lumps now because I think Tennessee is gearing up for 2027 being their national championship deep playoff run push. This year, you're just kind of getting through a couple of guys because, I mean, you're going to have David Sanders year 3 next year. You'll have Tristan Keys year 2. We'll see who else comes back to the receiver room. You'll have a lot of returning depth at linebacker, at corner, on the defensive line. Like, there's just going to be a lot of key NFL type guys going into 2027 that I think they have circled in that regard. So I don't know. I think Faison would probably make the most sense there. But like I said, I mean, I don't know. I think George can absolutely just outplay Faison here over the next month. He's a talented guy. Faison super talented. But the thing that if I'm George, I'm worried about is if it's close, will they just go with Faison because it's that extra year and the perceived ceiling is higher? You know, like if it's George needs to flat out win it but it's also a good sign if George is the guy, because that means he really did perform well over the last month when we're getting ready to start. So I think either are good signs for Tennessee.
Let me put you on the hot seat here. Is there a scenario where like the pressure is actually ramped up on Josh Heupel at the end of this season, or is it understood from the fan base that 2026 isn't really the year? Like, let's just make a bowl game and hope we're better in 2027? Or is there a chance like this team goes 6-6 and Heupel gets fired? Like, is that on the table for Tennessee?
Fired, not on the table, but I do think, I don't know. I think most fans understand this is kind of a gap year. Like, I think this is, you want to push, you want to get 8 or 9. And I think fans would be overjoyed at 9. I think if you go 9-3, especially with a redshirt freshman or true freshman quarterback, I think they're all in. That missed a minute. It's a great year because that also means you probably beat someone you shouldn't have. Whether that's LSU at home, Texas at home. If you're able to do that, then I think you're gonna have some goodwill. Like, what does it look like at the end? I mean, part of it's like how you finish. Like getting embarrassed at home against Vanderbilt to finish the year left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Like that was an embarrassing way to go out and to end your season. So there was a lot more heat on Heupel to make some changes. He brings in Derek Owings, the number 1 strength coach, who was the strength coach for Indiana the past couple of years. So you have him in the building. You go out and get Jim Knowles, one of the biggest DCs in the game. So it spurs change. So he did make some sweeping changes, which I think has excited the fan base across the board. But I think it just depends on how it looks. I think it depends on how you finish. Like if you beat Vanderbilt and Vandy to end the year and you still go 7-5, it's fine. You're like, all right, well, just keep moving. We beat Vandy. You got back on track there. We were in some fun games. It's still 2027 is the year for us, and we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, 6-6 would mean a lot went wrong. That probably includes like a loss at Arkansas, maybe a loss at South Carolina too. So I kind of worry what that would look like for Tennessee if they were to drop 6. I would be very surprised if Tennessee went 6-6 this year. I would say the floor is 7-5 and the ceiling's 9-3. So I think if you can get, 8-4, I think it's perfectly fine. I know a lot of fans are not going to hear that, but I think if you get 8-4 with this record and especially if you go phase on a true freshman quarterback, get 8-4 and keep it moving and go into next year.
Yeah, because there's a chance they're only favored in 6 or 7 games or so this year. So I don't know. Fans have a way of being very logical from February to August, and then once the actual season, the actual losses, you feel those losses. Their tune can kind of change. Like I think of like a Jim Donnan or something. Late 90s, 2000. Like I think he went 10-2, like 99, and then like 8-4. 2000 or something. But they lost to Tech 3 years in a row. So it's like, okay, we can't be losing to Tech every year. And that's when Tech was still like a very respectable program, Joe Hamilton and all that. But you lose to Vanderbilt back-to-back seasons, it would just be 2. They didn't lose 2024 to Vandy, right? No, they went 10-3. Losing to Vanderbilt, and obviously Vanderbilt is better than they once were, but losing to Vanderbilt 2 years in a row, that might be like I don't know, just a sour taste that Tennessee fans just can't handle. But, he's elevated them to such a level that, like, maybe outside of Knoxville, where, like, he might be under some pressure, but, like, no, y'all went through the Jeremy Pruitt years, through the Derek Dooley years and everything. It's like, this is amazing when the bad years are 8-5. So maybe it's just, so you think worst case scenario is Josh Heupel is the number 1 hot seat coach in 2027. But no real chance that he's fired.
I don't even think there's a real chance he's the number 1 hot seat coach. I really don't think there's any heat on Heupel right now.
Not if they go 6-6, 7-5. There's no real pressure on Heupel.
There's more pressure for sure if he's 6-6. I think if he went 6-6 this year and then went like 7-5 next year or 8-4 next year, then I think 2028 is like a make or break year for him. Okay. But I don't think I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I could see that. It's these last 4 years of Tennessee football have been a whole lot better than anything that happened in the previous 10, 15 years. So that's
best winning percentage since Fulmer.
It's a low bar, though, if we're being honest.
Butch got this team. He had some highs. Like, it's easy to forget.
That's true. Butch Jones had a couple good seasons.
Yeah. Last Tennessee coach to beat Georgia. Big theme here, Matt Green. The SEC teams to buy or sell in 2026. First up, and this could mean like buying a title year for them, selling them, make a bowl game this year, buying their future, selling their future. Let's start with the LSU Tigers, who I think is probably the most difficult to place in 2026. But what say you, Matt Green?
Yeah, I think so. I think first we need to establish what is the expectation for LSU. Is this a national championship team, or are we just talking they make the playoff and that's a success?
I think it should be if they make a playoff, it's a success. I've heard a lot of people, it's national title or bust. And I just don't. I think that's Texas. I don't think that's LSU in 2026.
Okay.
I don't know why they're getting the same level of gotta win right now. Like, I understand they spent heavily in the portal and they had a elite top 2 portal class. You bring in Jordan Seaton, you bring in a lot Sam Levitt, like you brought in a lot of dudes, but they're gonna have dudes next year. They're gonna be loaded again. Like Lane Kiffin does this every year. Like they're gonna be loaded again. Like you don't even know if your quarterback's healthy. Like there's still big questions about Sam Levitt's health with just his foot and everything else. So I don't know. Like I just do not understand Lane's got to win a national title this year. Like I'm buying LSU and Lane over the next 3 to 4 years, but I'm selling LSU is got to win a national title this year to make it all worth it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And maybe this is a hot take, but I think Sam Levitt and I think 24/7 portal rankings is the #1 player in the portal. I think that's absolutely absurd. Like Sam Levitt is a good player, but thinking Sam Levitt is the best player out of the transfer portal is kind of wild to me. Like and maybe it's like saying he could be the best player isn't as wild as ranking him #1, because I think you put a good quarterback in the Lane Kiffin system and he could make him look really good, So I'm not saying Sam Levitt couldn't have a great year this year. I'm just shocked to see him as the top ranked player coming out of the portal. You've like you said, they've brought in so many guys in the portal this year. I think Lane Kiffin might have made one of the worst career decisions. Like we might look back that this is like one of the worst career decisions ever, because he was a couple years away from getting a damn statue built in Oxford, Mississippi. And now all of that goodwill is gone. Like he didn't win. He won like 3-4 straight 10-win seasons at Ole Miss. Like that means nothing in Baton Rouge. They don't care how many games you won with Matt Corral and Trinidad Chambliss and whoever. Who am I blanking on? Who's the guy before that? Jackson Dart. Like they don't care about any of that. So if they don't win a national championship in 3 or 4 years, he might be gone just like Brian Kelly was. Like Brian Kelly won the SEC West year 1. Like, and obviously I think that was his best year at LSU, but I'm very skeptical of that move in general. Like, I don't think it's lateral. I think LSU is a better job than Ole Miss, but that's if I'm a coach that's a free agent and all the programs are pursuing me. It's one thing to be at Ole Miss and be the guy who turned them into a team that just went to the playoff, a team that could actually expect to get, 4-star, 5-star prospects year in and year out, but to become this transfer portal destination that they'd become. So that's a different story than the 2026 team is kind of big picture Lane Kiffin. But you look at this team, even Jordan Seaton, one of the top ranked players in the portal. Like, I don't know if you've seen these viral videos come out of Colorado practice where they look like damn high schoolers. Like, I don't know what's going on in that weight training program in Colorado, but like, we know he was like, I think the #1 offensive tackle coming out of high school, like big time 5-star. Was the last 2 years at Colorado, was he being prepared to go to the NFL to play big time SEC football? Like, I don't know. Like Travis Hunter obviously had no problem being a superstar at Colorado, but what, did he get hurt last year? Was he I don't think he was healthy all year and for Jacksonville. So, jury's still out on him as far as the NFL player. But even that's another one who's like, that should be first team all SEC offensive tackle, like SEC media days. But even him, I'm not sure that he's going to be like, he wasn't facing this competition week in and week out in the Big 12. So even one of the better players on the roster, I think, is also a question mark. So I think LSU is going to be a good team. I'm not sure I think LSU is a playoff team this year in an SEC where the top 7, and I think LSU probably is #7. Like the top 7 is the most even we've seen in years, I think, in the SEC. I'm not sure LSU, I'm not looking at their schedule right now, but I'm not sure LSU is a playoff team. So if we're talking LSU playoff, buy or sell, I think I'm selling LSU in 2026.
I'm not selling them as a playoff team. I would buy that. I think it's going to be hard. It depends on how many you think are getting in. Because if there's only 4 SEC teams that get in this cycle, and we'll see how the 9-game conference schedule affects that. I don't know. Like, I think at Ole Miss the LSU's early part of their schedule is everything, right? It's a brutal schedule as a whole, but I mean, Clemson at home, they should smack Clemson around. LA Tech, smack them around. I would pick them to go into Oxford and beat the Rebs as of right now under the lights.
It was Brian Kelly, but they've lost like a season opener like 5 years in a row or something, haven't they? LSU, I think, going back to 2020.
Didn't they beat Clemson last year, though?
No, I thought they lost that game, didn't they?
Last year?
Am I wrong? No, you're right. They won 17-10. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
They won. I think they'd lost the previous 5.
Yes. I knew there was a streak, but I was like, I thought they won last year.
You're right.
And that's why everyone thought that was a big game.
In the other Death Valley. I guess they're both in Death Valley.
That's true. But you get A&M at home, which is important. And if LSU gets unscathed that first 4, they beat A&M at home, beat Clemson at home, and go to Ole Miss and win, I think they're in the driver's seat. Like, I would be floored if they don't make the playoff. I mean, they still got to go to Tennessee, but you get Bama at home this year. I think you'll be favored in that game against Bama. I mean, you get Texas at home. We'll see what Texas looks like. But, yeah, it's a good year to have to go to Auburn, good year to have to go to Arkansas, good year to have to go to Kentucky. I mean, I think this is probably like a 9-3, 10-2 schedule. And I think it's going to – the margin of error for these teams is so thin, you know, like the Ole Miss, the Oklahomas, the Texas – the only lock I would say before the season starts is Georgia. Like, I think Georgia is my only college football playoff lock in the SEC before the season gets started.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think there's if is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that September slate. Like, if they go 4-0, yeah, I think they're definitely a playoff team. I think there's a scenario where they're 2-2 coming out of September.
They're in a lot of problems if they go 2-2 to start off. I think Lane's in a lot of hot water.
I think A&M kind of feels almost like Indiana was in 2024. It's like, I think they benefited from one of the weaker schedules in the SEC, and then people were kind of sleeping. Like, Indiana was benefited from one of the weaker schedules in 2024, and I think people were kind of sleeping on how good they were going to be in 2025. I feel okay jumping the shark on this one if that's I don't even know if that applies to this. Disregard jumping the ship or whatever, because we don't have A&M on our list here. I think A&M is the ultimate wild card in the SEC. I wouldn't be like, they beat the brakes off of LSU last year. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if A&M beats LSU, even if it's in Baton Rouge, which they won in Baton Rouge in 2024. But I think and Ole Miss, like, I don't know what to expect out of Lane Kiffin coming back to Oxford. Like, that atmosphere is going to be insane. Like, I don't even think it's an indictment on LSU if they're 2-2 coming out of September. Like, they could still run the table and go 10-2. But the other question is, like you said, how many SEC teams do get into the playoff? Like, because 9-3 hasn't been good enough. 10-2 wasn't good enough for Vanderbilt a year ago. So now playing 9 conference games, I don't think 9-3 gets you into the college football playoff. So yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical of Lane Kiffin here in year 1. And like you said, is Sam Leavitt healthy the whole season? I don't know that either.
That's fair. Let's keep it moving. We will go to Texas here, Matt Green. What say you?
So Texas is a different standard, right? They're national championship or bust. I think one of the only teams in college football that is truly national championship or bust. For one, I don't really know what that term means. Like, bust, what do you tear the whole thing down? Like, yeah, if Georgia doesn't win the national championship, are they disappointed? Definitely. But
I think for
come
Texas,
back again next year and maybe win 10 games, be preseason top 5. Like, they'll be. Like, I think Texas, if they don't win the national championship, could legitimately fire Sark because
that's what it is. That's the difference. Is the championship or bust really only applies to Steve Sarkisian. Like, if you don't win a championship with this roster, when are you ever going to win one?
Yeah, so you get Ohio State at home, you get at Tennessee, you obviously have the Red River Shootout with Oklahoma, like Ole Miss is at home, at LSU, at A&M, like. They've been one of the beneficiaries, contrary to Oklahoma, who I don't know who's serial Oklahoma Piston coming into the SEC, that they just got an absolute gauntlet the first 2 years. And Texas had one of the weaker schedules in the SEC in 2024 and 2025. They're not getting that in 2026. So I do think at least the public has calmed down on the Arch Manning is either the greatest player ever or he sucks. Like at least we've come regressed to the mean at least, and we're kind of talking about him in a more normal fashion now this year. Arch Manning is a really good player, but I don't know that this team. I'm not picking this team to win a national championship because I think this schedule is significantly tougher than the one they've had the last couple of years, and that's not everything. They are still one of the most talented teams in college football. We've talked already about Cam Coleman, and they brought in a couple really good running backs too. I think they're going to be one of the more talented rosters in this sport, but I don't know, man. It's hard for me to see, and it doesn't mean losing 2 regular season games doesn't mean you can't win a national championship. Ohio State showed us that, but in 2024, but I don't know. I think I'm selling Texas winning the national championship this year because I don't know. This conference is loaded, and I'm not sure. Even with their schedule the last couple of years, they've kind of disappointed. So with a tougher schedule, I wouldn't be shocked if Texas missed the playoff in general. If I'm being honest, like I'm not Arch Manning. I'm not an Arch Manning hater, but I am in no means Arch Manning. Seeing the Arch Manning #1 overall pick hype. Like I don't see that at all. I think Trinidad Chambliss is my guy through and through. Like I don't understand. I'm seeing mock drafts with 5 quarterbacks going first round and Trinidad Chambliss not being one of them. So I don't know. I think I'm selling Texas going into this year. And if they lose 2 games, if they lose 3 games, I think Steve Sarkisian could legitimately be fired if they lose 3 games and don't make the college football playoff.
Yeah, I would say if they don't make the playoff, he's out. I don't see how. I think that's the whole thing of just where I think people who are like, if you don't win the national title, you got to move on from Sark. It's like, I don't think that's the case. Now, if you don't make the playoff, I think, yeah, that's just the standard, the money and everything else that he's got to go. But if he makes the playoff, he wins a game or 2 or whatever. Like, yeah, it's not where you ultimately wanted to go, but hey, you're back in the playoff. You won a playoff game, whatever. Like, it's just crazy things happen. Like the SEC hasn't won a title in the last 3. So it's like next year might be 4 in a row. Are you going to fire these coaches because like no one's winning? Like Kirby hasn't won here. Like, are you just going to keep that to me, I think is a little silly in terms of firing the coach if Sark makes the playoff this year for the Horns. I would say that that's a little over the top. But I mean, this roster just doesn't have any weaknesses, Matt Green.
Yeah.
Like it's just you look up and down. Like I love Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers to help Arch at they only needed 1 transfer tailback. They got 2. Coleman, obviously, all the time in the world. Ryan Wingo from her 5-star kid. You got Mosley. I mean, they're loaded. I mean, you look at Colin Simmons on the back end. You look at Will Muschamp, your old friend. We haven't talked about him. Like they made a huge upgrade in Will Muschamp. And like that's a huge ad. Like that's a huge defensive coordinator ad for Sark and company. So yeah, I mean, we'll get to the team that I actually think is going to be better than them this year. And I think this is the biggest issue facing Sark and Texas. Is I think Oklahoma was better than them last year, and I think Oklahoma is going to be better than them again this year. Like what happens if Oklahoma beats Texas and Oklahoma makes the national title game, or is the Final Four team and Texas makes the playoff but Oklahoma goes further? How much does that matter? Like, I don't really know how much that factors into but obviously with the 2 big rivals, like I'm higher on Oklahoma still because Texas has got to prove it. Oklahoma proved it last year with no running game, no pass catchers, Batir running around hurt for a lot of the year. And that schedule was brutal and they made the playoff. They went 10-2. So I don't know, man. I think Texas is in a really interesting spot, but there's just not a better roster in this conference this year. Like Texas has got the best roster and we'll see what they do with it.
And I will say, if I'm making a prediction, I do think Texas makes the playoff.
Yeah, same.
I just wouldn't be shocked if they don't. And your point about Oklahoma and Texas A&M made the playoff a year ago.
Right.
If Oklahoma and A&M make it again, and Texas doesn't,
I'm
not saying it's rational that Sarkisian should be fired. I'm just saying it just means more in the SEC.
It just doesn't help.
Yeah, it's I don't think it would be a good decision to fire Steve Sarkisian. I should say that right now, because Texas has been a really good program the last 3 or 4 years. And obviously they came as close as anybody in the playoff to beating the eventual national champion, Ohio State. But I don't think they get that far if the bracket is seeded properly. If we're being honest, I think they beat a weak Clemson team. Shouldn't have beaten Arizona State. That was a very controversial win as well. So I don't know. I'm still skeptical about the Longhorns. So yeah, I'm gonna sell there as well.
There you go. Let's do Florida next, Matt Green.
Florida's probably, you said LSU, like the most difficult team to predict. I feel like Florida might be the most difficult team to predict, just because year one of John Summerall, like Aaron Philo, most likely the starter. Jaden Ball, I think, is one of the short list best running backs in college football this year. I really don't know what this team, what was their record a year ago? They're 7-5, 6-6.
You talking about Florida?
Yeah.
Florida's like 3-9.
No, they didn't go 3-9. That's
Florida last year?
Florida didn't go 3-9. You're making that up.
Florida, I want to say they went 3-9 last year.
Was it really that bad?
Yes.
No.
4-8.
4-8. Damn, that's awful. So yeah, does Florida go to a bowl game? Is that what we're buying or selling this year? I think I'm buying that. Like, I think they'll be much improved. They're without Billy Napier, but I don't know. Looking at the schedule, you go at Auburn, at Missouri, at Texas, at Florida State, at Kentucky. I don't know. Obviously, you get Georgia in the cocktail party in Mercedes-Benz, Oklahoma. Ole Miss as well at home. They at least benefit from getting a couple of good games at home, some of their tougher games at home. But I don't know, man. If we're just saying, are they better than they were a year ago? Then yeah, but I don't think they're competing for anything. If they won 8 games, I'd be shocked, to be honest, if Florida won 8 games this year.
I also just am, some programs or schools, it just feels like maybe I don't know if a certain type of coach is going to work, where John Summerall, I wonder if he's going to end up regretting Florida over Auburn and or Kentucky, where he was a linebacker with the Wildcats, and we'll see what Will Stein's able to do there. But Florida and that fan base, it's offense, man. Like the Urban Meyer years, the best 2 runs for Florida football was Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer, was just electric offenses. And
even Dan Mullen.
Dan Mullen too.
Won a lot of games.
Yeah. This philosophy, the Will Muschamp going defense, like I think John Summerall is very intriguing. I think he obviously won at an elite level at both Troy and Tulane in 2 years apiece. I think he won the conference or made the conference title game in all 4 years, right? Like at all 4. Like I don't think he's not made it. I think that's what it was for him. You listen to him talk and everything else, intense. There's some Kirby vibes to him when you listen to him talk. And obviously, former linebacker in the SEC, understands what it takes to be a good player in this conference. Has recruited well, retained a lot of important pieces. I think Florida is loaded at receiver. I think keeping Jaden Ball was huge for them. I think bringing in Buster Faulkner was really, really smart. Hurts Tech in a major way, but Buster Faulkner is one of the best play callers, I think, offensively in the sport right now. Gave Kirby fits too, at Tech with Haynes King and company. So Parkview legend, Buster Faulkner. But I think all that's great. I'm always just going to be raised an eyebrow at a defensive-minded coach at Florida. It hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it won't work for John Summerall just for that reason alone, but it's just, I need to see it. I need to see a defensive-minded coach win at Florida before I am believing that that's the way to go. Like I would just keep trying, like with just the athletes that you have, with guys like Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, bringing in interesting guys like Bailey Stockton, Eric Singleton in particular, already having past success with Buster Faulkner. I don't know. I think Jaden Ball is going to be one of the best running backs in the conference. I think they're going to run the ball down people's throats. I think Aaron Philo has all the talent in the world. They got talent on defense still, but I don't know. I'm selling Florida until proven otherwise. But the thing about Florida this year is their schedule is really good. I love this schedule for Florida. And like they should be an 8-4, 7-5 at worst team.
You
They
think
might
they
have.
should be 8-4? They're not going to be favored in 8 games.
I think they might.
I don't know about that.
Have you?
I do agree with your one point of like the defensive minded thing, because I say this with all due respect. I know Ricky Bobby said you can just say whatever you want if you say with all due respect, but they kind of need and this is respect, because no one hates your coach if you're not good, you're not winning games. So they kind of need an offensive minded asshole to be their coach. Like that's when Florida's successful. Like even Dan Mullen like wasn't an asshole at Mississippi State. He got the Florida job. He's like, I need to turn up a notch. I need to match that Urban Meyer, Steve Spurrier energy. And they won games. He won I think 30 games his first 3 years or something at Florida. And then made the SEC championship in 2020. So this does not feel like a quick fix job to me personally. And especially in this now 16 team SEC 9-game schedule. I don't know. I think it could be a couple of 6-win, barely making a bowl game type of seasons before they're really competing for anything personally.
I think that's fair. I'll say they're going to go 7-5 or 8-4 this year. And I think there's going to be a lot of optimism about them going forward. I really do think the best thing he did was bring Buster Faulkner in from Tech. I think that's going to be a huge combo, because I think John Summerall is a great defensive coach. And I think that combo could be really fascinating in 26, because I think Buster is going to maximize that Philo Jaden Ball connection on the ground. They're going to run the what out of the ball.
They have one of the better receiving cores in the SEC, I think, this year.
For sure. I agree there too. A lot of talent in that room. Bama, Matt Green.
This is another team. This is another team that's super hard to predict for me, because it's Alabama. So I don't feel like the floor can ever be that low. I just don't know what to expect out of this quarterback position. If it's Austin Mack, if it's Keelan Russell, and the way this team ran the football a year ago, I think I said hundreds when we were talking earlier. I think they were in the 120s running the football a year ago. This team was awful at running the football. Ty Simpson made up for a lot of the shortcomings they had offensively. And even Ty Simpson was criticized a lot, I think, a year ago. And maybe some of it justified. I think this defense is going to be elite, maybe the best defense in the SEC. So I think the floor is very low. I think they could be a playoff team without having a big time offense. And they have really good receivers, but just can they get the ball to them consistently? So I'm another guy I feel like I was right about in Ryan Williams, or one of my pet peeves, guys changing their names after multiple years. Ryan Coleman Williams, I guess we're calling him now.
He could be Ryan Coleman Williams. Let people evolve and let people have their names.
I just get used to calling him a certain things. Be Ryan Coleman Williams coming out of high school, but that's not important. Maurice Drew to Maurice Jones-Drew. I guess everyone made that transition. But just the fact that he was
first. I never.
Yeah, he was Maurice Drew at UCLA. Definitely was Maurice Drew. And
I don't remember that at all. Jones Drew is such a better name too. Maurice Jones Drew. MJD.
Yeah, MJD was a good one. Sokovie White, now Sokovie White Helton. I just have to get used to saying it. But the fact that he was in the same conversation as Jeremiah Smith coming to last year was just absolutely absurd. And so that's where so much of my energy was this guy can't come close to Jeremiah Smith. Now it feels like the conversation has gone too far the other way, and he's being criticized a lot, and maybe some of it justified. He had a lot of drops last year. But I think I'd expect Ryan Coleman Williams to bounce back and be one of the better receivers in the SEC again this year. But they got to run the ball. They got to figure out a way to run the ball. But with this defense, if we're talking buy or sell, is Alabama a playoff team? I think I tend to buy. I think Alabama will be a playoff team at the end of the year.
Wow. Wait, so if you're throwing Bama in, then you have to tell me you're 4, because I don't think they're getting 5. So who's their 4?
So, well, I don't want to spoil. We got a couple more teams here on our slate.
Okay.
But I think Georgia. Damn, you're right. I don't know how many the SEC can get in because I think Georgia's a playoff team. I think Oklahoma's a playoff team. I think Alabama's right there. I think Ole Miss is a playoff team.
Okay.
And then I did say Texas too, so that's 5. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I also said I'm like an A&M as well. So I don't know. This 9-game schedule in the SEC is absolutely loaded. I guess, man, now that you made me pick, I guess I'm picking against Alabama making the playoff. I think they're going to be right around 12. Like they're going to be in that conversation for one of the last teams in. And I tend to trust DeBoer with that quarterback position, but if they can't run the ball, it's going to be really tough for them to consistently compete. But I really like that defense. I think it's one of the best secondaries in the SEC. One of the best pass rushes in the SEC as well. So I don't know, man. You're putting me on the spot. I guess I have Alabama as one of the first teams out. So I guess I'm selling them being a playoff team now that you've called me out on it.
Well, people love doing this, and not to call you out, but they're like, "Yeah, that's my one." And it's like, okay, well, suddenly I'm doing the math here, and it's like they're not all getting in. Someone's not getting in here. Someone's getting left out. And
when we talk about it's like this is a top 10 job in college football. It's like, well, you got to start naming them. There's a lot of really good jobs. Auburn could be the 14th best job in the country. It's a really good job, but yeah, it's one of those things. The math does have to math.
Yes. And I think Bama, the problem with Bama is I don't think they've fixed their run game. I have real concerns. I think you've heard good things about EJ Crowell, that true freshman running back, but Kevin Riley and Daniel Hill are going to be your main two, it seems like. I think everyone's interested in how the Keelan Russell, Austin Mack quarterback battle unfolds here over the next month. But I think Kalen DeBoer, similar to Heupel, is going to maximize whoever the quarterback is. I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt. DeBoer will figure it out. Whoever it is, they'll be fine. I just we'll see what Javen James looks like, the Mississippi State transfer at right tackle. We'll see what Jackson Lloyd looks like at left tackle. Like you said, Ryan Coleman Williams had a down year. Is he able to bounce back? I think Latsier Brooks, pretty solid in the slot, but not like a game wrecker there. Is it going to be Sedarian Morgan? Is it going to be Derek Meadows on the edge? I mean, those are 2 5-star guys as well. They have talent. I actually love the defense more than the offense, which is maybe something better for Alabama if there's more questions on the offensive side than the defensive side. I mean, they're loaded on defense, Matt Green. And I think Kane Womack is one of the better defensive play callers in the sport. But I mean, you've got guys everywhere. Like Xavion Brown is an awesome corner. Bray Hubbard, awesome safety. You got Keon Sabb back. You got Dijon Lee back. You got a lot of dudes there. Kind of wondering how it's going to work.
You didn't even name. Were you just talking the secondary?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, you didn't even name my favorite player from their defense. Yanze Pierre is an absolute monster on the edge. So I do hate that he went from 42 to 0. I don't know. 42 is just a great pass rusher number. Everyone wants a single digit though. So, what can you do? But yeah, that dude's a monster.
I mean, I think their defense is going to be really good. And I think it's going to keep them in a lot of games. But I think they're like the fourth or they're somewhere between like the 4th and 6th best team in the conference.
I agree 100% with that.
Bama fans, I just don't think are going to be okay with that. It's just the precedent that Saban just said. It's why this job always kind of sucked for the guy following him. Like Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. He's won big games at Alabama, right? Like he's beating Kirby. Like he's won big games. Like he is still
lost to Kirby also.
He has, but I mean, he's won more than he's lost.
That's true.
I mean, that's not nothing. Like, I mean, the best thing about DeBoer at Bama so far is he's shown up in a lot of big games, right? Like that's something that he's been better than Lanning. He's been better than Kirby. Like he's a big game coach. He's also taken a team to a national championship in the last 5 years at Washington with less talent. I don't know. I do kind of wonder if he's going to be able to get the time to continue to see this through, but yeah, I don't have Bama as a playoff team this year. I think they're like an 8-4 or 9-3 team. And I'm very curious what fans say. So I would still buy DeBoer and Bama over the next couple of years. I'm buying their defense this year. But I'm selling that Bama fans are going to be okay with the new normal. Like I feel like Kalen DeBoer is going to be sacrificed for the new normal of Alabama football.
Yeah, I would. I'd be shocked at 8-4, to be honest. That one of the stranger contract extensions I think ever. Like I don't know I mean, he was already under contract like 2031 or something, and they extended
that
it to
seemed like a Michigan thing.
I don't know. It's like what you've seen through the first, was it just 2 years? He's only been there 2 years. Like, yeah, he already had a long-term deal. There was no real reason to extend him. So that was a little interesting. Oh, you're saying to keep Michigan from poaching him? Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I would be surprised at 8-4. I think they'll be in an argument for they might be the poster child of the argument for the SEC has the toughest schedules in college football. This is one of the best 12 teams in the country, but they just might, because of how the parameters of making the playoff and how strength of schedule is interpreted and all that. I think they're going to be one of the first 4 out.
Yeah, because if you expanded to 16 this year, no one's feeling anxious about Bama, I think. Bama, I would say, I'd feel great about their playoff chances if the playoff was 16 this year.
And we could be sleeping on them because Keelan Russell is the most highly ranked recruit they've ever gotten. So
yeah,
and that's a school that's gotten a lot of very highly ranked recruits. So, maybe he's a superstar and maybe it's Austin Mack, maybe I'm sleeping on him as well. But if they get consistently good quarterback play, I mean, they go from being a question mark to being one of the shortlist national title contenders. So I think they have a wide range of possibilities, I think, this year.
So I was wondering if we were going to do this because we had a lot to catch up on the Georgia-Tennessee side of things and everything, but let's hold at 4 here in our buy or sell. Let's do another 4 here in our next pod. But I think because we had a lot of good content here and we're pushing like an hour and a half for the good folks in our return. And I want to make sure that we're diving in and giving all these teams the time and effort that they deserve, because I think this is a fun exercise to go through. So I think we should do 4 here and keep it going after that. What say you?
Yeah, that's fair, man. This is your show. I'm just here. I'm just along for the ride.
No, it's a pod divided. See, it is my show as a whole, but pod divided. It's you and I. It's our vision. We've been doing this. Oh man, if we do this fall, Matt Green, what would that be? 6 years? Have we been doing it 5 years?
2020. So I think that'd be. I think 2020 was the first years. They'd be going on 7 seasons. I think of this. So also we should shout out. Are we closing this up?
Yeah, we're shouting out.
We should shout out. Damn good dog.
Yeah.
Zeus, our home dog of the week. He is no longer with us. So I appreciate everyone who's the kind words we've gotten for Zeus and everything. But yeah, I do want to shout him out. That we'll see if Maddox can take the throne for the home dog of the week this year.
Zeus was fantastic. Great dog. He had a great run.
Yes, sir. 13 strong years, sir.
Y'all did a great job. Thoughts are with you. Zeus was the man. Maddox has a lot to live up to.
Big shoes to fill. Absolutely.
Yeah. Matt Green, how do the good folks check up on everything you're doing on the Georgia Voice of College Football front before we get out of here?
Yeah, check us out at on YouTube, Georgia Voice of College Football. We come to you live every Monday night at 7:00. So yeah, check out me and Bo Underwood. We give all our thoughts on Georgia football. And once the season ramps up, we'll also be doing post-game show, our instant reaction shows every week. Sometimes, if we're at the game, maybe it's a Sunday morning reaction show, but we try to do it every Saturday night after the game's over.
I love it. Go subscribe for all the Georgia folks tuning in here on a pod divided Vols and Dogs, back for year 7. A little bit different. We're not going to do 2 a week anymore. We're going to do probably, we'll see. We're going to talk more afterwards, but all kinds of great college football content this college football season that will be here before you know it. I think over the next couple of weeks, we do these deep dives in these different SEC teams where our bread and butter is here in the South. So we'll do that and a whole lot more college football talk here and on Georgia Voice College Football as well. But Matt Green, always a pleasure, my friend, and I'll talk to you again very soon.
Yes, sir.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.